In this lecture, we're going to be talking about the different type of strategies. Now, there are actually two main categories of strategies. There are momentum strategies and there are mean reverting strategies. And any strategy that you're ever going to do is going to fall within one of these two categories, right? There's these two categories, and you've probably heard before of momentum strategies. It's very common for new traders to come in and hear a lot about momentum strategies. What are they? What is momentum? What is mean reverting? Let's put it up here. So what does momentum really say? Let me just open this up. Momentum, just as its name implies, is when something has momentum, when something has velocity, force, acceleration, right? If a train is going in one direction, it has momentum in that direction, right? So there's for it to stop or slow down, there has to be friction or an opposing force to slow it down. Now, when something is in momentum, it tends to stay in that direction, right? Because it has that momentum going for it. That's the same thing with stocks. If a stock is, just going up, well, it has momentum to the upside, and it's way more likely to keep going to the upside. And that is something that's proven, that whenever a stock is going in a direction, there is that type of trend effect. Also, it could be plummeting, and that could be momentum as well to the downside. So that would be momentum. Okay. Now, mean reversion on the other side is when something goes up, well, instead of it being more likely to go up, it's more likely to go down. And once it goes down, it's now more likely to go up. So if, the mean or the average is somewhere around here, we say this type of behavior is mean reverting, okay? The prices are mean reverting. It goes up, then it reverts back to the mean, which is about here. Goes down, reverts back to the mean, which is about here. So it's mean reverting. Mean reverting. Now let me ask you this. What do you think the market exhibits more? Which type of behavior? Momentum behavior or mean reverting behavior? Because it does exhibit both. The market sometimes is in a momentum phase, sometimes it's just mean reverting. And whenever the whole market is in momentum, a lot of stocks will be in momentum as well. Whenever it's in mean reverting, a lot of stocks will be mean reverting. Now, most people would expect that there's a lot of momentum, but that's not actually the case. The market is usually mean reverting about 80% of the time and exhibits a momentum type of behavior only 20% of the time, right? So the problem with that is that as human beings, we don't remember all the times, we kind of think that there's more momentum than there actually is. Okay, because we all remember Apple, that went up from almost nothing and just keeps exploding up. So we remember these ones. Remember all the stocks that kept going up or kept going down, but we don't remember the hundreds and hundreds of stocks that started to go up but then just came back down. It started to go up and came back down. All these stocks that nothing really happened. But most of the times that's what happens. There's nothing really that happened. Things go up and down and they fluctuate. So most of the time, we are actually in mean reversion. Now, both type of strategies are good and they both work, okay? Now, what you have to understand is that they work differently, okay? And your approach has to be differently. Example, if you're doing a mean reverting strategy, okay? You have to understand that, okay, so if your stock is going like this, maybe at one point it explodes up, but most of the time it's going to be mean reverting. If you're following a mean reverting strategy, what you're trying to do is every time it goes up, you short. As it goes down, you make money. Then it goes down, you buy. It goes up, you make money. You short, make money. It's down, you buy, you make money. Again, short, make money. Down, you buy, you make money. But then here at this point, you short, expecting it to keep going down, but it doesn't. And it actually goes up, and then you lose a lot of money. So in a mean reverting strategies, you're going to be making a lot of small amounts of money, okay? Small amounts of money. But then at one point, you're going to have a huge, okay, a huge loss. This is how mean reverting strategies work. Not huge, but I mean, big. In momentum strategies, what's gonna happen is you're gonna find a stock that you think is gonna, explode in price, is gonna go up or go down, and you wanna chase it, you wanna go with it. But most of the time, your stock is not gonna do anything. And then at one point, yeah, it might explode. So if you're following a momentum strategies and you're trying to catch a stock as it's going up, then this one starts going up and you tell yourself, okay, you know what? It's going to keep going up. I'll buy it. But it actually goes down. So you actually end up taking, and let me put this right here. You end up taking, a loss. You lose money. Okay? So you lose money here. And then it goes back up. You think it's going to keep going up again. So you buy it again. But it actually goes down again and you lose money. You take a stop. You take a loss. It goes back up. You buy it again. And then it actually goes down, you lose money. And then one time you buy it and it actually does explode up, and then that's when you made all your cash, okay? So in this situation, in a momentum strategy, what you're gonna find out is you're gonna try and hit a home run several times. You're gonna lose a bit of money every time you miss. You're gonna lose money, okay? You're gonna lose money. And then one time when you hit it right, you're gonna get a lot of money, and that's where you're going to make most of your cash. So as you see, it's a little bit different, right? You see both strategies are a bit different because this one, you're always trying to make big cash in momentum, but you're going to take a lot of small losses. In a mean reverting strategy, you're trying to make small amounts of profits, but at one point you are going to get, you're going to get destroyed. Okay, not destroyed, but you are going to get a big loss. So it's different type of strategies. Now that being said, which one is better, which isn't, right? And the thing is, they're both as good. And the best would actually to do both of them simultaneously. Okay, I believe that when you have a mean reverting strategy, it's always good to start with that because it's better emotionally. It's better emotionally to come into the office or wherever you're working and make a little bit of money every day. Emotionally, you're going to be better, and then after the first week you're going to be positive, second week positive, third week positive. Then you're going to have a lot of winning months and a few losing months or a few losing weeks. Okay, but then the good thing is if you're able to avoid this big losing day, if you're able to minimize that, you're going to be doing very well. Now, if you're doing a momentum strategy, it's a little bit harder emotionally because you come into the office and you lose a bit of money, and nobody likes that, right? It's hard emotionally. But then you make a lot of money on some of those trades, right? So it makes over for all of these small losses, right? It's no problem. Your months are going to be crazy good, but you're going to have a few crazy good months, and then the others are going to be, so. So it's different. Okay, and if you do miss this big day, maybe you're not here, maybe you did something bad, you missed it. That's really bad, because you missed your big payday. So the best way to do it is to actually do both. And by doing both, when the market is actually exhibiting a mean reverting type of behavior, well, your mean reverting strategies are going to be making you cash. Okay, you're going to be making cash on this one, right? Let's say you make $1,000 on your mean reverting strategies because the whole market is in mean reversion right now. Okay, but then since it's mean reversion, you might lose on your momentum strategies, and since you're losing on your momentum strategy, you might lose something like $300 or something like that. So in the end, you'd be positive $700. So that's good. Now, if the market was exhibiting momentum and it was, let's say, crashing or something like that, well, on your mean reverting strategies, you're going to lose some money. Okay, let's say you did lose some money. Let's say you lost big. You lost 600 on this one. Okay, well, in your momentum strategies, you're going to make big money. Okay, you're going to make big money. So you might make, I don't know, maybe you make 1,600. So then, at the end, you're still positive. So by doing multiple strategies simultaneously that are negatively correlated with one another, you're going to end up with a better portfolio performance. Okay, your performance is going to be way better when you add everything up. Because if you only had, a mean reverting strategy, or if you only had one type of strategy, then on some days you are going to lose, right? So in this situation, if you only had a momentum strategy, well, you might have lost $600. Or so you have, by having multiple strategies, it averages out, and even though you lose on one strategy, you're going to be making on the other strategy because they are negatively correlated. And again, the way I like to view this is, imagine you have an ice cream store, and in your ice cream store, you make good money when it's beautiful outside, but when it rains, you don't make anything. Nobody wants to buy ice cream. So what you decide to do is open another store right in front that sells umbrellas. Now, when it's sunny outside, nobody's going to buy umbrellas, but your ice cream store is going to be making money and you're going to be good. But if it's raining, then your ice cream doesn't sell anything, but your umbrella store sells a lot of umbrellas. So you're always making money, and that's the objective. You don't want to be at the mercy of the weather because you can't predict the weather. We don't want to be at the mercy of the market behavior, of how the market is moving. And that's why we want to put multiple strategies that are negatively correlated. So no matter what the market is doing, we're generating income. Okay. So these are, the two types of strategies that we're going to be looking at. Well, these are the only two types of strategies that exist. Our strategies are going to be some in momentum, some in mean reversion. Now, how do we decide which stocks to look at for which strategy? Now, not all stocks are going to be good for a momentum strategy. And again, a lot of people have a strategy and they say, okay, well, when this happens and this happens, I'm going to buy. But they'll do that on any stock. Any single stock, they're going to do the same thing on it. The problem is some strategies work well for certain stocks and don't work for other stocks. So we have to select our stocks carefully. We have to take the whole universe of symbols and say, okay, well, look, this is all the universe of symbols, but we're going to take just part of it because this part works really well for that strategy. So what we're going to want to look at, and these are two things we're going to look at in this lecture. We're going to look at more things in other lectures. But first off, I want to look at the float. And the float, as you guys know, as we've seen in the foundation course, or in other lectures that I've done, that the float is the quantity of shares that a company has, right? The quantity of shares. So let me ask you this. If we have two different companies, okay? Let's say I have company ABC and then company XYZ. And I say companies ABC's float, okay, is 1 million. So it has 1 million shares that currently trade on the market that people can buy and sell. Company XYZ has 1 billion, okay? And they're both at $10 a pop, right? Both stocks are trading at $10. If somebody wanted to come and buy all the shares that are trading on the market of company ABC, how much would he have to spend? 1 million shares times $10, that would be $10 million. If somebody wanted to do the same thing with company XYZ and buy 1 billion shares, all the shares that trade on the market at $10 a pop, it'll cost him 10 billion. That's a huge difference, right? So let me ask you this. Which company out of these two is more likely to explode or move in a certain direction or have strong velocity, okay, or strong momentum if there's a news that comes out on it, or if there's a few buyers that jump on it? This one, right? Because it doesn't require a lot of money to buy everything that's on it. It doesn't require, and thus it doesn't require a lot of money to move it, okay? So if you have a stock that's, currently going, let's say there's a rumor on this stock, and the rumor is that they might have a new whatever, and it starts going up. Well, what do you think is going to happen? If this stock has so much float, it requires a lot of people to be like, oh, this rumor is legit, let me buy it, and actually push the stock up. So it might not go up if it has such a big float. But if it has a low float, it doesn't require a lot of people to make it move, right? So if it does have a low float, it's way more likely to continue. So whenever I'm looking at float, if I want to do a momentum strategy, I'm only going to take stocks that have low float. okay, for momentum. Because I want something that can just, explode. And that's why you're going to see a lot of the people who do pumps and dumps, they all jump on something to pump it up and then they liquidate it and they leave people, hanging there. They're always looking at low float stocks. And it is something that happens, up to this day. A lot of people are going to be pumping up low float stocks because they can make them move easily. Now, if you go on Finviz, and again, this is the website that we're always going to be using here, and let's select any company. Let me check the high movers today. Okay, this one. Okay, that one went up today 27%. Shares float 157 million shares. So this company, the total quantity, and I don't know if you can see this here. Here's the shares float, right? That's the float. That's the total amount of shares that can trade on the market for that company. Okay, that's all the shares that there is on the market. Now, 157 million is not a lot. 157 million of shares of a $4 stock is not a lot, right? It doesn't require a lot of money to make it move. So it is easy to have it move like that, right? 27% in one day. Here you go. Okay, but if you're looking at something like, let's say, Facebook, well, look at the float of Facebook. The float of Facebook is 2.33 billion shares, and the stock is a $173 stock, not just a $4 stock. So that's huge. So it requires so much more money to make it move, right? Like there are these companies that have a float of 50,000 shares. So if you and a few friends just buy it, it is gonna, make it move because that's a huge increase in demand versus the total amount of people that actually have it, okay? So it doesn't require a lot of money to make it move. So that's one of the things we're gonna be looking at. Float. Low float is gonna be for momentum strategies. High float is gonna be better for mean reverting strategies. Now, I'm not saying that something with high float cannot be in momentum. Of course it could be. I'm just saying if it's low float, there's more likelihood. It's more probable. And in trading, what we try to do is stack probabilities in our side. So if I know that low float stocks have a better chance at making me money when I'm doing a momentum strategies, why would I do a high float stock? I don't need to. I'll just do the low float ones. Yes, there are ones of them that are going to make me money, but why would I take lower probabilities than higher probabilities? I'm only going to take the highest probabilities of everything, stack them up on top of each other, and then have a higher probability for my overall returns. Another thing I want to look at is institutional ownership. Now, institutional ownership is going to be what? Is going to be the quantity of shares of the company that are owned by institutions. Okay, so institutions, and excuse my handwriting, institutions are going to be like banks, okay? And we've probably saw this in another lecture, banks, hedge funds, mutual funds, okay? There's going to be insurance company, any huge institution that buys a lot of shares, okay? Now, some companies, institutions really love them. A lot of institutions invest in them and have shares in them. And some companies, institutions hate and they never, ever, ever buy any shares in them. Now, this is very important because as we've spoken in another lecture about different players and you knowing who's playing your stock, okay, who's playing the stock, well, and then you know that they play differently, what you have to do is then have different strategies based on the players who are playing that stock, okay? So if I'm looking at a stock, and again, let's say we leave Facebook on here. I'm looking at a stock like Facebook and I check out its institutional ownership. And I see, okay, institutional ownership, 72%. So 72% of this stock is being held by institutions, okay? 72% of the stock is being held by institutions. So I go here, Facebook has 72% institutional, okay? So I know how institutions play. And I know that institutions, when something is going to go up, they're going to unload some shares to put them in something else that's undervalued. And something goes down, they're going to buy something expecting because they have to buy as it's going against them. That's the only way they can load up on shares, right? By knowing this, I know that I cannot really do a momentum strategy in the same if a stock has so much institutional on it, because as it's going up, they're going to be liquidating. Okay, they're going to be liquidating, and I know that institutions are not going to buy as something is going up, because institutions like to buy a lot of shares. Okay, and they're not going to be able to buy as something is going up, because they're going to just push the price higher, and they're not going to be able to buy that many shares. The own institutions, when they buy when something is going against them, because that's the only way they can load up on a position slowly, and that's the way they do it, right? So they're going to be selling as it's going up, buying as it's going down. That's the way they do it. They're never going to be a stock going up and then they're not going to chase it and say, okay, well, let me buy more. So when you have something that has high institution, it works better, to do that for a mean reverting strategy. So if you want to do a mean reverting strategies, you're better looking for high institutionally owned stocks, okay? Because as they fluctuate, there's gonna be selling points and buying points that help actually the stock move in that type of way. Your institutions are gonna help a stock move in this type of way. Now, if it's low institution, and by low institution, what does that mean? It means high retail, right? Low institution, if not a lot of institutions own the stock, then who owns it? Retail. And retail are average Joes trading from home, and average traders trading from wherever, okay? But what does that tell me? How do these traders trade? Well, they don't buy huge amounts of cash, huge amounts of shares. And they do like momentum. They like chasing things. Something goes up on rumor and they'll buy with it, right? And they can cause bubbles. They can cause huge spike moves, okay? So when you see, low institutional, so high retail, I would like that for any type of strategy that I'm doing that's momentum. So if I'm looking at a momentum strategy, I want something that has high retail. And if I'm doing momentum, I want something that has low retail or high institution, right? So let's see if I go on institution. So if you look at this, this thing moved all the way up. Well, look at its institution, 16%, not a lot. Okay, not a lot, not that much, only 16%. So it's nothing that's too big. So whenever you're developing a strategy, and let me actually put this on here. If I go back here, and let's say we have, what do you want when you're looking, if you're doing a momentum strategy? Okay, let's say we have here low float, and we have high or low institutional, and mean reverting. Let's put it here, mean reverting. Okay, so if I am looking at a momentum strategy, what do I want for stocks? I want stocks that have low float, and I want stocks that have low institutional. These are going to work best for my strategy. Well, if I'm doing a momentum strategy, then no, I want actually high float, and I actually want high institutional ownership. Okay? Again, and a lot of people go and they have these brilliant strategies, but they don't separate which stock they're going to run this strategy on. A strategy is not going to be good on any stock. You shouldn't do a mean reverting strategy on a biotech stock that might come out with a new drug soon, because don't expect it to stay like that. If the drug comes out, it's either going to pop up. If it doesn't, it's going to go down. This is going to be a momentum stock. So you cannot just have a one type of strategy that works on all symbols and then that's it. So what you have to do is you have to screen your stocks. And when I say screen your stocks, screening is just the practice of subsecting the whole universe of symbols to find the best symbols that work best for your strategy. So if I want to do a momentum strategy, I can go on screener here and say, okay, well, I do want things that have, low institutional. Okay. So let me check on, fundamentals. Should that be here? Institutional, okay. Institutional ownership. Okay. Let me say I want something under 10, or let's say even super low, like under 5%, like almost no institutions on it. Okay, well, you know what? So in the beginning, before I did that, the whole universe of symbols that trade on the US stock market is 7,058 stocks. Well, I don't want to earn my stars on all of them. I want to find something good. So again, I go on low. Do I get a click filter here or something? Okay, wait, institutional ownership, click on low, here we go. So there's 260 stocks that have such a low institutional ownership. Now, if I take a look at any of these, and let's say I'm gonna look at whichever, this one, Industrial Group, Aerospace, and Technical Product. This stock is very low and actually you see it has a low float as well. 13 million times a dollar stock, has only 1% institutional ownership. So this stock has high potential to move in either or direction. Okay, it's less likely to stay to be mean reverting. Okay, if there's a news that comes out, if there's rumors, this has the chance to pop because it doesn't require a lot of people to make it pop, and it's not going to have these players that are going to get in the way of that move happening. Okay, again, once we get into strategies, we're going to talk more about other things that we look at to separate and select the right stocks that fit in our strategy. And again, there are some strategies that are amazing, but if you run them on the whole market, they give you really bad results. But if you select the right things to run that strategy on them, it's amazing results. And that's one of why in this lecture I'm separating the types of strategies, because then within each type you can have different strategies that are going to work on different stocks. Okay, so I think that covers strategies. And again, guys, if you have any questions, put them anywhere on our social medias and I'll get back to you. Other than that, I'll see you guys in the next lecture.